library.
You can be talented, kind, brilliant, and still be invisible. You can have ideas that could change your life and still watch someone less qualified get the job, the client, the respect, simply because they express themselves better than you. In this world, it's not just what you know. It's how clearly you can make other people feel it. Right now, opportunities are passing in front of you in silence. People can't see your value if your words hide it. That promotion you want, that relationship you wish was deeper, that business you dream of starting, they are all filtered through one skill: communication. If you keep talking the way you've always talked, you will keep living the life you've always lived. If you change the way you communicate, you change the way the world responds to you. So this is not just a book about speaking better. This is a book about building a different life, one conversation at a time. Chapter 1: The Hidden Power of Being Truly Heard. Let's start with something simple and uncomfortable. Most people are not really listening to you. They nod, they smile, they say, "Yeah, sure." But inside, their mind is somewhere else, planning what to say next, thinking about their to-do list, scrolling their mental phone. You've felt it before. You've spoken from the heart and realized halfway through that the other person didn't catch any of it. In that moment, you felt small, unimportant, almost foolish for even trying. Now, here's the hard truth. You have probably done the same thing to others. We live in a world where everyone wants to be heard, but very few are willing to hear. That's why the first step to becoming a powerful communicator isn't speaking at all. It's listening, actively, intentionally, and deeply. Active listening is your unfair advantage. Why? Because almost nobody practices it. When you truly listen to someone, you instantly become rare. You become the person they remember, the person they trust, the person they want to talk to again. Think about the people you feel closest to. It's not because their vocabulary is perfect. It's because you feel safe with them. You feel understood. You feel like your words land somewhere solid instead of disappearing into the air. That feeling is not an accident. It is a skill. And you can learn it. Active listening starts with presence. Presence means this: when someone is speaking to you, they are the only tab open in your mind. No phone in your hand. No half reading a notification. No rehearsing your response while their mouth is still moving. Just you and them in this moment. It sounds simple. It isn't. Your brain is addicted to distraction, to speed, to jumping ahead. You will feel the impulse to cut them off, to correct them, to defend yourself, to fix them. Fight that impulse. Instead, imagine this rule written above every conversation. For the next few minutes, my job is not to speak. My job is to understand. You listen for their words, but you also listen underneath the words. You pay attention to tone. Does their voice tighten on certain phrases? Does it soften when they talk about something they love? You notice their pauses, where they hesitate, where they rush. You feel the emotion between the sentences: frustration, excitement, fear, hope. Most people only hear content. Great communicators hear emotion. And when you respond to the emotion, not just the content, everything changes.
Imagine a friend says, "I'm fine. Work is just a lot right now." If you're not really listening, you might answer, "Yeah, same here," and then talk about your day. If you are listening actively, you hear the tiny drop in their voice on the word "a lot." You notice they look away when they say "fine." You sense something heavier underneath the casual words. Instead, you say, "It sounds like work has been really overwhelming lately. What's going on?" Suddenly, the door opens. They feel seen. They feel like someone actually noticed. That's the power of active listening. You are no longer just a body in the room. You become a witness to their inner world. People never forget the person who truly heard them. You might be thinking, "Okay, but how does this help me? I want to be more confident, more persuasive, more clear." Here is the twist. The better you listen, the stronger you speak. When you listen deeply, you stop guessing what people need. You stop firing random words into the dark. You know what matters to them because they already told you, directly or indirectly. That means when it's your turn to talk, your words land. You speak to their fears, their hopes, their doubts, their desires. You respond to the real problem instead of the surface complaint. This is why the best leaders, negotiators, and coaches are obsessive listeners. They ask questions. They stay quiet longer than feels comfortable. They give people space to reveal themselves. Then, when they finally speak, it feels like they're reading minds. They're not. They're just paying attention. So how do you start practicing active listening in a world that pulls you in every direction? Begin with small, specific habits. When someone talks to you, stop what you're doing. If you're typing, pause. If you're scrolling, lock the screen. Turn your body toward them. This simple physical shift sends a loud, silent message. I have your attention. Next, let them finish. Do not jump in even if you think you know where they're going. Most interruptions don't come from malice. They come from impatience and ego, the feeling that your thought is more important than their sentence. Every time you resist that urge, you train yourself to value connection over control. Then reflect back what you heard, not like a robot, but like a mirror. So, if I understand correctly, you're feeling, it sounds like the hardest part is, what I'm hearing is that you're worried about, this does three things at once. It proves you were listening, it gives them a chance to correct any misunderstandings, and it slows the conversation down just enough for both of you to think clearly. Finally, ask one more question before giving advice. Most people rush to fix. They throw solutions at half-understood problems. Powerful communicators stay curious a little longer. They ask, what do you need most right now? Or, what would make this feel easier? You'd be amazed how often the other person already knows the answer. They just needed to say it out loud to someone who was actually listening. At this point, you might say, this sounds good, but it sounds exhausting. Do I really have to listen like this to everyone all the time? No, you set your own boundaries. But understand this. Every time you choose to practice active listening, you are not just helping the other person. You are training your own mind. You're stretching your attention span in a world that is shrinking it. You're building patience in a culture addicted to speed. You're developing emotional intelligence, the quiet superpower behind every great communicator. And slowly, conversation by conversation, you will notice the shift. People will start telling you, I feel like I can really talk to you. I don't know why, but I always feel better after we speak. Your relationships will deepen. Conflicts will soften. Opportunities will open. Not because you became louder, but because you became present. Active listening is not glamorous. It doesn't look impressive on social media. No one claps for you because you stayed quiet and paid attention. But this is where your new life starts. Before you work on sounding smarter, sharper, or more charismatic, work on this. Give the person in front of you the gift nobody gives them: full attention. Do it today with your partner, with your child, with a friend, a colleague, the person at the checkout. Put the phone down. Look them in the eyes. Listen all the way to the end. Reflect what you heard. Ask one more question. That's it. If you repeat this simple practice every day, your communication will transform. Your relationships will transform. And eventually, your life will transform. Because the journey to becoming a powerful communicator doesn't start on a stage. It starts in the quiet moments, when nobody's watching, when one person speaks, and you choose to truly hear them.
Chapter 2. Look people in the eye. There is a moment in every powerful conversation when words stop being enough. You can feel it in the air. The sentence is fine. The tone is calm. But something is missing. The message doesn't land. It slides past the other person, like a wave that never reaches the shore. Most of the time, what's missing is not another clever phrase. It's connection. And connection begins with something incredibly simple and incredibly rare: eye contact. When you look someone in the eye, you're saying, without a single word, I see you. I'm here with you. You matter right now. When you avoid their eyes, you send a different message. I'm uncomfortable. I'm not fully here. I'd rather escape. People may not analyze it consciously, but they feel it. They feel when your eyes are steady and open. They feel when they flicker away every few seconds, as if you want to disappear. Your eyes are the first bridge between your inner world and theirs. They reveal confidence or insecurity, honesty or avoidance, interest or boredom. You can't hide them for long. That's why your communication will never feel powerful if your eyes are always running away. Maybe you learned to look away because you were shy as a kid. Maybe you were told that staring is rude. Maybe you simply never practiced being fully present with another human being. Whatever the reason, you can change it. You can train your gaze the same way you train your voice or your body. You can turn eye contact from something that scares you into something that strengthens you. Start by understanding what eye contact actually is and what it isn't. Eye contact is not staring someone down to prove dominance. It is not locking in so intensely that the other person feels attacked. It is not a contest you have to win. Eye contact is simply this: staying with the other person long enough for them to feel your presence, then gently letting your gaze move and return in a natural rhythm. Think of it like breathing. You inhale. You exhale. You don't hold your breath forever. In the same way, you look into their eyes while they speak. You glance away briefly to think or to avoid pressure, and then you come back. The gaze rises and falls like a calm wave. If eye contact makes you nervous, your first instinct will be to look away too quickly. You ask a question. Their eyes meet yours, and your gaze immediately escapes to the floor, the wall, the phone. It feels safer, but it also cuts the connection. So you train yourself to stay 1 second longer. That's all at the beginning. 1 extra second. You ask, "How are you really doing?" Their eyes lift. You feel the urge to look down. Instead, you breathe and hold their gaze just a moment longer than usual. Nothing dramatic happens. No one explodes. But internally, something shifts. You prove to yourself that you can handle being seen. Because that's what eye contact really challenges. The fear of being seen. Most people are not just afraid of how others look at them. They're afraid of what their own eyes might reveal. Insecurity, doubt, worry, longing. But you can't build deep relationships while hiding behind screens and surfaces. You can't sell, lead, inspire, or love with your eyes always on the exit. The next time you speak, imagine that your eyes are saying the first hello before your mouth does. When you enter a room, let your gaze meet people's faces, not just their shoes or your own thoughts. When you shake someone's hand, let your eyes stand beside your words. Nice to meet you feels different when your eyes actually meet. Here's a simple practice you can use every day. When you talk to the barista, the cashier, the person at the front desk, look up. Let your eyes rest on theirs as you say hi or thank you. Just a second or two of honest, unhurried contact. You are not trying to make it intense. You are just refusing to disappear. At first, it will feel strange. You might feel exposed, almost vulnerable. That's normal. You're stretching a muscle you haven't used enough. Soon, though, something interesting happens. People respond differently. They smile more. They soften. They greet you with a little more warmth than they did yesterday. Why? Because they feel acknowledged. In a world where everyone is half present, buried in screens and worries, your full attention is rare and valuable. And value is always attractive. In deeper conversations, eye contact becomes even more powerful. When someone is sharing something important, a struggle, a dream, a fear, your eyes can either open the door wider or shut it. If you look away, fidget, or stare at a spot behind them, they feel it. Even if your words are kind, your eyes say, "This is too much. I don't want to be here." But when you meet their gaze with steady, gentle presence, you say, "I can handle this." You're safe to keep going. You don't have to lock in the entire time. You might look at the table for a moment to give them space, then back up to show you're still fully with them. The exact rhythm doesn't matter. What matters is the feeling. I am here. I am not running. If you want a practical rule, try this. When you are listening, make eye contact about 2/3 of the time. When you are speaking, make eye contact about half the time, especially on the key phrases of your message. The numbers don't have to be perfect, but the principle is simple. Too little eye contact and you seem unsure or disconnected. Too much and you become intense or intimidating. You're aiming for warmth and strength, not pressure. Eye contact also tells the truth about your confidence. You can rehearse your lines, memorize the perfect pitch, pick the right outfit. But if your gaze is shaky and darting, people will sense it. They won't know exactly why, but a part of them will think, something doesn't feel solid here. On the other hand, you can keep your words simple and still come across as powerful if your eyes are steady and calm. Think of someone you admire, a leader, a teacher, a mentor. Remember the way they looked at you when they spoke. Most likely, their eyes were focused, present, not sliding away every second. That presence is available to you too. To build it, practice in low-pressure situations. When you talk on a video call, look at the camera or at the eyes on your screen instead of at your own image. When you walk down the street, let your eyes rise to the level of faces instead of the ground. When you greet someone, add one extra heartbeat of eye contact before you look away. It will feel small in the moment, but small repetitions build big habits. Remember this: strong eye contact doesn't mean you never look away. It means that when you do, you come back. You glance to the side to think. You look down to find the right word, but your eyes return to the other person like a home base. Your gaze says, "I'm still with you. I haven't checked out." Over time, this one habit changes how people describe you. They stop saying, "You seem shy," or "You seem unsure," or "You seem distant." They start saying, "You feel confident. You feel present. You feel trustworthy." Nothing about your height, your job, or your past has changed. Only the way you use your eyes. And something else happens. Your own inner state begins to shift. When you hold eye contact, you are forced to stand in your own skin. You can't hide inside your head. You have to be here, in this moment, with this person. At first, that feels scary. Then, it starts to feel powerful. You realize, I can be seen and survive it. I can let someone look at me while I speak, and the world doesn't fall apart. I can stay present, and my voice doesn't crumble. That realization is a quiet revolution. Because once you are no longer afraid of being seen, you are no longer afraid of being heard. Eye contact is the doorway. Walk through it enough times and your confidence stops being an act. It becomes real. So, as you move through your day, remember the simple rule of millionaire-level communication. Don't just show up with your words, show up with your eyes. Look people in the eye when you thank them, when you apologize, when you ask for something, when you say, "I appreciate you," or "This matters to me." Your message might be short, your vocabulary might be simple, but when your eyes, your presence, and your words all tell the same story, people feel you. And when people feel you, they remember you.
Chapter 3. Think before you speak. There is a quiet moment that exists between your thoughts and your words. Most people rush past it. They open their mouth before their mind is ready, and then they spend the rest of the conversation trying to repair the damage. A relationship gets tense. A misunderstanding ignites. A message gets lost. All because the words came out too fast, without intention, without clarity. In a world obsessed with speed, it feels natural to answer instantly. Silence feels dangerous, like hesitation will make you look weak or unprepared. But the truth is the opposite.
The strongest communicators are not the fastest speakers. They are the most deliberate ones. They wait a heartbeat. They gather their thoughts. Then they speak with weight, precision, and purpose. That tiny pause is not hesitation. It is power. When you think before you speak, you choose your direction instead of reacting blindly. You speak from intention, not impulse. You create clarity instead of confusion. You communicate like someone whose words matter. Most people do not realize how many problems come from speaking too soon. Arguments that never needed to happen. Promises made too quickly. Ideas shared before they were fully formed. Trust broken by careless comments. All of it avoidable with one simple habit. Pause. Think, then speak. Thinking before you speak does not make you slow. It makes you clear. It turns your words from noise into meaning. And meaning is what people follow, respect, and remember. Start by understanding this simple truth. Your first thought is rarely your best thought. Your first reaction is often emotional, unfiltered, and impulsive. If you speak from that place, your communication becomes chaotic, full of filler words, contradictions, or sharp edges you didn't intend. The pause helps you climb out of the emotional brain and into the rational one. You shift from reacting to choosing. You breathe. You center yourself. You ask internally, what am I really trying to say here? Only when that becomes clear do you let the words leave your mouth. The calmest people in a room often carry the most influence. They are not calm because life is easy. They are calm because they master that brief internal pause. They do not let urgency control their communication. They do not let adrenaline shape their message. They speak from solid ground, not from emotional storm. Imagine two versions of you. One reacts instantly. Words tumble out, messy and rushed. Meaning gets lost. People get confused. You walk away thinking, why did I say it like that? Now imagine the other version. Someone asks a question. You breathe. You think for a second. Then you respond clearly, calmly, confidently. Which version do you want people to meet? Thinking before speaking begins with awareness. You must first notice your impulse to answer quickly. You must catch the moment before the words burst out. This requires presence. You listen fully. You stay with the person in front of you. You resist the temptation to prepare your answer while they are still talking. You let their message land. Only then do you respond. When you are fully present in a conversation, your mind becomes sharper. Your words become fewer but stronger. People feel the difference immediately. They sense intention. They sense depth. They sense that you mean what you say. Now let's make this practical. Here are 3 simple micro-pauses you can begin using today. Pause before responding to a question. Pause after hearing something emotional. Pause when you feel triggered or defensive. These micro-pauses prevent emotional spills. They allow clarity to rise. They protect your relationships and elevate your communication. Thinking before speaking also helps you avoid unnecessary complexity.
Many people ramble because their mind is disorganized. They chase one idea, then another, hoping that somewhere in the chaos their point will appear. But clarity never comes from more words. It comes from choosing the right ones. When you pause, you organize your thoughts. You find the central idea. You remove what is irrelevant.
You speak in clean, simple sentences that actually land. People appreciate this more than you realize. In a noisy world, clarity is kindness. Clarity is influence. Clarity is power. Thinking before speaking also helps you avoid hurting people unintentionally. One careless sentence can cut deeper than you meant. One sarcastic comment can create distance you didn't intend. One impulsive phrase can damage trust that took years to build. The pause protects you from your own sharp edges. In that pause, you ask yourself, will these words move us forward or backward? Will they help or harm? Is this necessary, or is this just my ego talking? Not every thought needs to be spoken. Not every truth needs to be delivered with maximum intensity. Not every emotion deserves the microphone. Thinking before speaking gives you the choice. It lets you decide which words deserve life. Another benefit of this habit is that it sharpens your reputation. People will start to notice that when you speak, you deliver value. You don't ramble. You don't say things you regret. You don't flood conversations with unnecessary noise. Your words become a signal. When this person speaks, pay attention. This creates respect without effort. People trust those who communicate with intention. People follow those who speak with clarity. If you want to become more persuasive, this is your foundation. If you want to be taken seriously, this is your discipline. If you want to build strong relationships, this is your anchor. Thinking before speaking also teaches emotional control. When your emotions rise, your tongue becomes dangerous. Anger sharpens it. Fear quickens it. Insecurity loosens it. The pause lets you breathe. It lets you calm the emotional fire before it burns a bridge. It lets you choose the version of yourself that shows up. You can be angry and still communicate with clarity. You can be nervous and still speak with intention. You can be passionate without losing control. That is what emotional maturity sounds like. One more truth. People who think before they speak are harder to manipulate. They are not dragged into arguments easily. They do not fall for traps. They don't reveal things they didn't intend. Their communication becomes a shield as much as a tool. To build this habit, start small. Before you speak today, take one conscious breath. That's it. A single breath is enough to separate the impulse from the intention. Tomorrow, take 2 breaths. Next week, you'll find yourself pausing naturally. Eventually, the pause becomes part of your identity. You stop reacting. You start responding. And that one shift changes everything about how people experience you. Think before you speak. It is not a cliché. It is a discipline, a strength, a quiet force that turns ordinary communication into powerful connection. When your words come from intention instead of impulse, people hear you differently. They trust you more. They listen longer. They remember what you say. Because your words carry your character. And your character is built in the pause.
Chapter 4. Use simple words to express complex ideas. There is a moment in every conversation where clarity wins or clarity dies. It doesn't matter how brilliant your idea is, if the words you choose bury it under complexity, no one will understand you, follow you, or feel connected to what you say.
People don't remember complicated. People remember clear. Yet many fall into the same trap. They use long sentences to sound intelligent. They stuff their speech with jargon to impress. They speak in circles instead of straight lines. The result? Confusion, disconnection, a message that evaporates instead of landing. Great communicators do the opposite. They take the complicated and make it simple. They remove the noise so the signal comes through. They use words that everyone understands, not because they are simple-minded, but because they are masters of clarity. Simplicity is not weakness. Simplicity is strength. Simplicity is what makes your message stick. When you speak simply, people listen longer. They process faster. They trust you more. They feel smarter, not smaller. And that is the point of communication, not to elevate yourself, but to elevate the connection. Most misunderstandings don't come from lack of intelligence. They come from lack of clarity. Two people using complicated language to hide uncertainty instead of facing the truth. I don't actually know what I'm trying to say. Simple words force you to know your own message. They force you to get to the core of your idea. They force you to become precise. If you can't explain your thoughts simply, it's not the listener's fault. It's a sign you haven't understood it deeply enough yourself. That's why simplicity is a test and a tool. It reveals whether your thinking is clear or cloudy. Start with the basic question. What is the point I'm trying to make? If you can't express it in one clear sentence, you're not ready to explain it to someone else. Imagine two versions of the same idea. Version 1. Our interpersonal dynamics have been compromised due to the misalignment of communicative expectations. Version 2. We keep misunderstanding each other because we expect different things when we talk. The first tries to impress. The second connects. And connection is what communication is for. Simple language opens doors. Complex language closes them. When your message is simple, people feel intelligent because they instantly understand. When your message is confusing, people feel inadequate and they stop listening. You don't need bigger words. You need more honest ones. Simplicity is not about removing depth. It's about removing friction. The friction that slows down connection. Think of your message like a glass of water. Clear water refreshes, cloudy water repels. Your words should be clear enough that people can drink them easily. Simple language is also more persuasive. People follow what they can understand. They trust what feels natural. They act on what feels obvious. If your message is too complex, the other person's brain does something automatic. It shuts down. It saves energy. It disconnects. Your job is not to drain their energy. Your job is to make your message effortless to receive. This is especially powerful in high-stakes conversations, interviews, negotiations, presentations, conflicts. In pressure moments, the brain can't process extra complexity. It needs clarity. It needs direction. It needs clean language. Saying less clearly is stronger than saying more confusingly. To speak simply, begin with these habits. First, shorten your sentences. Every long sentence can be broken into 2 or 3 clean ones. Short sentences breathe. Short sentences land. Short sentences carry authority.
Second, replace fancy words with common ones. Use help instead of assist. Use start instead of commence. Use instead of utilize. Use because instead of due to the fact that. Your goal is not to sound impressive. Your goal is to be understood. Third, cut out filler. Filler words dilute your message. They make your speech heavy and slow. Remove kind of, maybe, basically, in a way, you know, like. When your speech is clean, your thoughts feel sharper. Fourth, use examples. Examples make ideas real. They turn concepts into pictures. When people can picture what you're saying, they remember it. A single example can clarify what 10 explanations cannot. Fifth, pause more. Simplicity is not only in your words, but in your rhythm. A calm pace gives your message space. It lets people digest what you're saying. It makes your ideas feel solid. Fast, cluttered speech feels nervous. Slow, simple speech feels grounded. Simplicity is not about being less. It's about being more direct, more honest, more human. People think complexity makes them sound professional, but professionalism is not about sounding complicated. It's about delivering value clearly. People think using big words makes them look smart, but true intelligence is being understood by everyone. Simple words carry truth. Simple words carry confidence. Simple words carry impact. If you study the greatest leaders, teachers, writers, mentors, they all use language that feels effortless. They don't hide behind words. They let their message stand on its own. Simplicity is purity. Simplicity is authenticity. Simplicity is power. Start experimenting today. Take something complicated and explain it in the simplest way possible. Not childish, not shallow, just clear. You will feel your mind sharpen. You will feel your confidence grow. You will feel your communication lift into something stronger. Because every time you choose clarity over complexity, you choose connection over ego. And connection is what transforms conversations into change. Use simple words. Make big ideas easy to understand. Let your message breathe. When your communication becomes simple, your influence becomes unstoppable. Chapter 5. Conclusion. Every conversation is an opportunity. An opportunity to connect, to clarify, to influence, to build trust, to open doors that once felt closed. The skills you've just learned are simple, but they are not small. They reshape how people experience you and how you experience the world. Listen with intention. Look people in the eye. Think before you speak. Use simple words that carry truth. Do these 4 things consistently and your communication will transform. Not in years, in days. Because powerful communication isn't about speaking louder. It's about speaking clearer. It's about showing up with presence, honesty, and intention. When your words align with who you are, people hear you differently. They trust you faster. They follow you willingly. Improve the way you communicate, and you improve the quality of your life, one conversation at a time.